trying to connect with someone who is a little far is not easy. Let me take this opportunity to invite our head of department for education, Mrs. Joyce Sekatawa, to come and give a few welcoming remarks as I try to connect with Edwin.
Good morning to each and every one of you. Thank you for coming. We are glad that Emmaus Better Living Center, we are able to organize such events. This is the second career event that we have so far done. And I must say we are proud of that, to host you here today. And before we get started, I would like to take my sincere appreciation to Mr. Masereka, Dr. Rahire, the media team. You're doing us very well because you're trying to put this online. And above all, I would like to thank God for having enabled us to put such an event. And today our focus is on software engineering. So for those that are trying to choose a career path, I believe you're in the right place. And for those that are also passionate, we are going to be having people who have worked in organizations, big organizations around the world, and institutions as well. So for those that are really passionate about the tech world, I believe you're going to get a lot from here today because we are going to have a lot of learning, and I believe that you're ready with your notepad and a pen, and you'll be able to note down a few things that are going to help you later. For anyone who has any suggestions, you want any clarifications, anything that you want to say, you can even put up your hand to say a hi to people. You'll be given a chance to do so. But otherwise, please feel comfortable and let your ears be widely open so that you can get something out of here. Thank you for listening.
You'll see him when his time comes. Yes. He's a senior software engineer with Washington University. Though most of his work is done remotely, but he's always moving up and down, and he's here with us. We want to thank him for giving us and saving this time to come and be here. Then also my brother Ruhanga Nathan is also here. Where is Nathan? He's out. Okay. So Nathan is also here. And The other person that will be here is Brother Regan Makoba. He's a medical doctor and also a software engineer who has gone into medical digital medicine and software development. So he's the one who is also going to be one of our facilitators. The reason why I wanted us to start with Brother Edwin is because it's late where he is. And when he finishes the presentation, he's going to sleep. Yes, so he has told me in 5 minutes he's going to reconnect. He was supposed to begin at exactly 9. And he's going to reconnect so that we have him present. And then he will be able to leave us. Yes. So let us just be patient a little that he connects so that we don't, again, get another person disorganized along the way. Let us just be patient. Thank you so much.
It's been a very long wait, but finally we are there. That's great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Edwin Bwampale. I am glad that I'm here to share my experiences with you, and I hope that you are able to at least pick something, and I'll be glad to also learn something from you if we have the time. Um, we are 1 hour late, so I don't know how we're going to handle that. So I don't know how much time I have left, but I will try to move faster as I can. About myself, I currently work as a cloud infrastructure engineer with Google. And before Google, I worked as a software engineer at Microsoft and Walt Disney and Walmart. So mostly most of my career I've been working as a software engineer. And so today there are a couple of things that we're going to look at in this majorly in this presentation. We are going to look at what software engineering is. Just as more highlight. I will not go into details, but at least something, to talk about it. Then we will also look at the different career paths in software engineering, and also why you would choose to do software engineering or to pursue software engineering in your career. We will also see how to get on the train, on the software engineering train. If you want, if you were impressed with the whys, then why would you want to do software engineering? And we will also look at the challenges that you would expect to face, because it's not only a milk and honey road, it also has challenges. Then if we still have the time, I will share my journey, like how did I get started, and how have I been able to reach where I am at this point. Probably my experience would inspire you, or it would scare you. I hope it will be able to scare you. If we still have the time, then we will have some minutes for some questions. And yeah, so we will go ahead and dive into it. So what is software engineering? Or what is it to be a software engineer? There is no dictionary definition, so I will just point out a few things that you can remember. A software engineering is someone who writes code. You write computer programs, they develop applications, probably mobile applications that you use on your phone, like WhatsApp, this Zoom that we're using, Microsoft Word, YouTube, Facebook. All these are developed by a software engineer. And the process of developing these applications is called software engineering. And so these software engineers design systems. So if they say you're a software engineer, you can be writing applications, you may be designing systems, or spending more hours looking at your screen. That's one characteristic of a software engineer. I haven't seen one who only spends 1 hour. You find yourself getting addicted to looking at the screen for many hours. Software engineers are innovators. They create, they think of something that doesn't exist, and then they create it. They always think of how to make things better, how to create something that is not there. So which makes it different from other courses. For other courses, they always think of what happened before. Probably it's done by just a few people in the course, maybe at universities. But for software engineers, anyone is an innovator, right from the last guy at a company at the bottom ladder, he is always thinking of innovating. Accountants, yes, they innovate, but it's rare to see an accountant, a normal accountant, saying, "Hey, I want to create another way of writing like a balance sheet." They always work on things that are already there. Yeah, so software engineers are innovators. They always think of creating something new, improving things, and they are always carrying laptop bags. Yes, you're when you're a software engineer, you will not help it. You always be carrying that bag. It's not heavy. Maybe the first days it's heavy, but after some time you don't feel that heaviness anymore. If I'm not carrying my laptops, I feel weird. I feel like there's something missing. So that's another characteristic of software engineers. Well, of course, many, I can't exhaust them. They write applications, they fix bugs, they download and install, they work on networks, they update, they write scripts, they learn languages. All those are, there are so many characteristics of software engineers. So these are just a few of them. So what are the different career paths in software engineering? So software engineering is, just as you might have noticed, there are I'll call them subdivisions or different alternatives that you may take or you may pursue as you want to become a software engineer. So others are really software engineers. I know that sounds funny. Yes, there are people who have a title of software engineers. So it doesn't mean that they do something very different, but they are more into writing software and developing systems. Others are called application developers, which is more like software engineering. These are more into writing code. They do some design, but it's more into writing code. Software engineers are more broad than application developers. There are also web developers. Web developers write applications on the web. So like a software engineer can write a mobile application, can write an application that you install on a computer, but a web developer strictly develops applications that we use on the internet or on the web pages. Like they develop websites. So not every web developer is I would say web developers still can be software engineers, but they are more into web. So they will not develop, you will not find a web developer developing mobile applications, for example, or applications that we run on a phone or strictly on a computer. There are those we call full stack. Full stack, they do everything. So I will not want to go deeper into the everything that they do, but now that they do everything, they will write code. They will, again, there are different responsibilities in software engineering. Like all these that you see, a full stack can be any of those, of these others. So a full stack is ready to do anything. If you say you're full stack, that means that actually you're open to doing everything, from developing the front end or things that users will see to things that users don't see. So there are those software engineers that we call backend engineers who write things that users never see. And there are front-end engineers who write things that we see, like buttons that we click on, those are front-end engineers, right? Or even web developers. And they're also back-end engineers who write, they do a lot of work behind the scene. So I would say they're like chefs in a restaurant. They do the most work, but you never see them. You only see waiters and waitresses. Yet the people who do the actual cooking are never seen. But a full stack, so if you think about it in a way that if you're a full stack in a restaurant, then you can go and work as a chef. You can serve people, you can clean, you can do everything. So also there are machine learning engineers now or AI engineers. This is a new era of artificial intelligence or machine learning. They are engineers who are getting more specialized into writing code or developing applications or writing computer programs that use AI. They are data engineers. These are more into data, how data is stored, how data is utilized, how data is collected in companies and made use of to make business decisions. So these will specialize in that. They are only into data. And these work in companies that collect a lot of data from daily operations. Think about like banks. Banks collect information from all transactions that are done. So a bank may have a data engineer. He's responsible for, making sure that data is secure, properly stored, analyzed, being able to see trends by analyzing the data that is stored. This is also another area that is getting more popular. They are also what we call DevOps. These help establish infrastructure, computer infrastructure or applications infrastructure in the cloud or it may not be in the cloud, it may be in maybe like an office or data center, a distributed network. So these are called DevOps. It's also another specialization. These do not write code a lot. They write scripts more than just writing applications. They are cloud engineers. As the world is moving more into the cloud, it's giving birth to another class of engineers who are more specialized in running computer applications in the cloud. So this is not an exhaustive list. There are other, I just picked a few of them. So you may come across another specialization, but these are the most common and popular one. You ask me which one is better, I will say all of them are better if you do them well. So why would you want to do software engineering? What is the motivation? Again, this is not a list written on stones. Of course, there are these are the ones that I think are on the top. Why most people want to do software engineering. One is there are a lot of opportunities. Honestly, in this world today, I don't know if there is anything that has opportunities like software engineering, especially in the developed countries, and even I think in the developing world, because everything is going IT. Everyone now uses a smartphone, which has an application. Everyone is using TikTok. Everyone is using Facebook. We're using WhatsApp. We're using ride applications, Surfboard. So that calls for a need for software engineers, and they are not there. Very few people are willing to become software engineers due to many reasons, as we will see in this presentation. But there are a lot of opportunities in this area. So that's one reason why someone would want to pursue it. If you really do it well, I doubt if you would fail to get a job. I want to compare it with other professions. I think it's highly marketable. There are a lot of opportunities, and the market is so wide. So software engineering is a worldwide career. Some careers are only popular in certain places. If you go to certain countries, you see certain professions are not popular there. But for software engineering, it's popular. Whichever country you go to, there's need of software engineers. So that creates a very wide market. If you move from Uganda to, for example, to the UK, there is need for software engineers, and the beauty is it's standard. It's different from other courses, like, let's say, medicine. If you studied medicine in Uganda, if you, for example, come to the US, they will require you to first do another course before you are able to work, which is different in software engineering. In software engineering, it's an open, wide market. Wherever you go, we use the same technologies. The technology that is used in Uganda by software engineers is just exactly the same that is used in the US, the same that is used in China. So someone that has been a developer in Uganda can just go to the US and start developing right away. And since this is an online, or this is an internet-based profession, it even makes it more open. Some companies allow their employees to work anywhere. So you don't even have to leave Uganda to get a job. You can get a job when you're in Uganda, and you still compete with other people around the world, which makes the market so big compared to other professions. For most professions, you really have to be in a place where you're going to do it. And so this makes it a very great opportunity. It's fast. So what I mean by that is you really don't spend a lot of time learning to be a software engineer. If I compare it with like other courses, still like the other engineering courses, like, let's say, telecommunication or civil, electrical, you spend 4 years in school. You want to become a doctor, you spend 6 to 7 years. And if when you get out, you're considered a senior, you still have to practice before you can really be allowed to work fully. For software engineering, there is no restriction. You can become a software engineer with just after 1 month. The limitation is you, when you think you're ready, or when your employer feels you're ready. So there is no limitation. There are no standards of like, this is how long you should. Like medical courses, you have to take a particular period of time before you can be allowed to practice. For software engineering, even 1 month, even 1 week, if you're good, if you're able to cover all the content within a day, you can start working the next day. And no one will say, hey, you haven't taken XYZ amount of time, which makes it good. Like if you want to switch from another course, if I want, for example, to change my career to, let's say, law, I will need to do like 4 years, go to LDC, and it will take me like 5 years. But if someone is doing law and he wants to switch to software engineering, it may just happen within a month and he's ready to work, or even right away. So which is something like, for example, people who are old, like, let's say you're in your 40s or you're in your 50s, but you want to learn something that you can do something for yourself. before you really age and retire, this is something good where you can just go and learn for 6 months, 1 year, and you're ready to go. That makes it beautiful. The other one are the perks. So these are like the pay, to be more specific. The pay, I think, is really, really good compared to other courses. Right now, I think it's one of the most highly paying jobs, especially in developed countries like the US, where there are a lot of IT companies. It really pays a lot. And I think in Uganda too, even the time I was in Uganda, I still remember it was, compared to other courses, it was always good. A software engineer would always get a good salary with no experience or very little experience. And there are other benefits for like companies here. You have the salary, but also you're given other payments in addition to your salary. So if you're in a company, you compare software engineers with other employees. Software engineers are always paid more salary and more additional benefits, which makes it, I think, admirable. And I've seen most people switching from all kinds of professions to software engineering. There are people switching from medicine to software engineering, switching from law. I have worked with people who have switched from all kinds of professions. I don't know anyone who has switched from software engineering to another course. I don't know. I have not met anyone who says, I used to be a software engineer, now I am doing medicine. I don't know. I don't know anyone like that. Because really the perks are great, are really, really great. And it doesn't require you to really be so good and so educated, and it takes less time. The other thing is mobility. Most companies now, I think it's even has been there when I was still in Uganda. I used to work like from home. I would report to my company for like once every 2 weeks. I would work from home, and that was 2015. So it's been there. Now most companies here, most of the work I work from home, and it gives you an opportunity to travel. If like you're someone who loves traveling, you don't have to be off. So you can be working while you're doing other things. Like if I want to come to you, most of the time I come to Uganda, I'm still working. I rarely take an off when I'm coming to Uganda, and I'm working. So it's a good opportunity for people who want to do more than one thing. Like you want to run your personal businesses when you're still maintaining your job. This is an opportunity. And also, you may not want to live in certain places. Like you may, for example, want to get a job in the US, but you don't live in the US. Software engineering is one of those professions where you get that opportunity. Yes, there are other opportunities. Like I don't know if a lawyer can work remotely, because you need to go to court. So you have to physically be there. If you're a doctor, you need to work at a hospital. So you can't do it remotely. If you're an engineer, you have to go on the construction site or on your site where you work. So software engineering is unique in that way. Entrepreneur. So most innovators come from software engineering. Or when you're a software engineer, it's easy for you to become an entrepreneur. Because first, as I mentioned before, software engineers are innovators. They always think of creating something. So most people end up going independent because, you can do it yourself. You can create something easily, and it becomes popular, and you're independent. You're an entrepreneur, which is, I think, not common with all professions. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, software engineering is another quick path to that. It opens more opportunities for software entrepreneurship. Yes, I will stop there with the reasons why you would want to do software engineer, or advantages, as I may put it, of software engineering. There are more others, but I think those are the ones on top. So the question is, how do you get on board? How do you become a software engineer? So I have divided it into two. The first set on the left is the qualities you need to have or to develop. You may not have them, but maybe you need to develop them if you don't have them. Then on the right, I have what is the channel that you would follow. So first, I'll go with the qualities that you need to have. You need to have the determination. It's one thing to really want to be a software engineer, but it's also another thing to really, be determined to be one. It really requires a lot of determination, as given the fact that you don't spend a lot of time in school, so you learn a lot within a very short time, and there are no very strict guidelines on how to become one. So you really have to be determined on your path. Things can get hard, and they do get hard, because I am sure most of the people who are software engineers now, 90% didn't know they were going to be software engineers in their career. Even at university, even at high school, they didn't know that they're going to be software engineers. They just found themselves on the bus. So something that you just started to love, it's hard to maintain that love. So sometimes when things get hard, it's easy for you to give up, right? So you really have to be determined. You have to be resilient. It starts from learning. Honestly, the first time I fumbled into software engineering, as I will share with you in my journey at university. Things were hard. First time it looked like English, but I couldn't understand anything. And it still happens. I still get moments where there is something I'm trying to understand. I read it like 3 times. I don't know what they're talking about. But when I do it over and over, it begins to make sense. For most people, they go through it 2 times, they give up, right? So even when you're getting started, I can assure you, for the first 1 year, or even 2, or even 3, you may not understand. But if you insist, you will learn. So you have to really be patient with yourself. You have to be resilient. You have to be determined. Commitment. Setting your goal and commit to it. It starts from learning, the learning process, or even making a decision to be one. I've met people who want to be software engineers today, and next week, they don't want to be anymore. The other week, they really wonder if they should be one. And again, you find them a month later, they want to be. So you have to commit to your goal. If you've decided to be one, then commit. No matter how hard things become, you commit to your goal. You need to have discipline. And this spans from just behavior. Like if you're learning, then you should really be willing to commit to that learning and really learn, than you're reading today and then tomorrow you're reading and you're watching a phone, you're watching a movie. I don't say watching movies is bad, but being committed and being disciplined in the way you do your things is important. As a software engineer, you're going to really have very little time, but be expected to learn very fast. And there's going to be a lot of noise. You're on the internet all the time. We spend most of our lives on the internet, and it is tempting. You may find yourself, instead of reading, you went to watch a tutorial, you end up watching a movie or a clip, right? So you have to be disciplined, set time for certain things. Say, during the day, I don't watch a movie. I watch movies only on the weekend. I wake up at this time, I read from this time to this time, and really commit to that, have that kind of discipline. If you don't have that, it will really be so hard. You can't be lousy and become a successful software engineer. It's hard. Most of the software engineers I know, they're just so disciplined. They know when to do what. You have the fun, but you know when to have the fun. You have to have the passion, because surely things get hard. Sometimes they may get boring, but if you have the passion for what you're doing, then you will continue. It's I always tell people that first find out a reason why you want to be one, and really write that reason in bold letters on your heart and on your mind and everywhere in your life, and then build that passion within you before you really get started with the journey. Otherwise, if you don't have the passion, if you're only going there for the money, when things are hard, or when you see other opportunities, you see other people making it in life cheaply, you jump off the bus. So you have to really have the passion, the love for it. If you don't have the love, then ask yourself, find a reason why you should love it. If you have developed the passion, the journey will be so easy. You can look at the previous points, why you want to be a software engineer, or you just think like you have to build it in yourself. Ask yourself, why is software engineering good? Why should I love it? And then if you can answer that question and you're convinced, then you should go for it. If you don't have the passion yet, then you need to start to work on that. You have to sit down and close your eyes and say, I would love to be a software engineer. And you love that coolness. You think it's cool. Maybe that's the best term I can use. If you think it's cool in your heart, in your mind, then you have the passion, to pursue it. You have to have the dream. What do you want to be? Why are you doing it? Is it for the money? It's okay. It's okay to do it for the money. If you want to make money, it's a good goal. For me, it was one of the reasons why I went for it. So it's not bad. It's not like evil for you to say, I'm going for software engineering because it pays well. That's okay. And you can build your passion around that. It's okay if it is convincing enough for you. We are driven by different things, right? Other people are driven by money. Others are driven by prestige. Others are driven by, just the results. So many things, right? So you have to have the goal. You have to build that dream in your mind, wake up every day, and then the journey is going to be so easy for you. How? Now, once you have this, you don't develop them at once. You start, it's an all-time journey. There still comes a time when I lose the motivation, the determination, the commitment, the discipline, the passion, the goal, and the dreams. But I developed ways of pumping myself again. So like when the motivation, the passion is gone, you have to have ways, you have to develop ways of pumping yourself, giving yourself some pep talk to, giving yourself some courage. You don't have to wait for someone. You have to go back to the drawing board, ask yourself, why did I do this? Why am I doing it? Why is it good for me? Then once you have those and you continue to develop them, then you can choose one of the ways you can become one. Most standard way is through school. Go and do a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. I did a bachelor's degree, and then, the rest followed. But it's not a must that you really have to do it. If you didn't do it, you don't have to go and do it. If you want to go and do it, it's not bad. But if you have most degrees, they can allow you to, most bachelor's degrees, they can allow you to go and do a master's degree directly without actually even having to do a postgraduate diploma. Right now, most you can always find a university that will accept you to do a master's degree. And that's fine. It will get you started. I always recommend that you look through the curriculum of the masters that you're doing and ensure that it has the courses that will help you in your journey. Because some may not, it may be a computer related or software engineering or IT course, but when actually the designers of the course did not really put courses that will help you in your software engineering journey. Maybe it has more of networks, computer networks, it has a lot of information systems, implementation at a user's level, not as a developer's level. So you really have to look through your course outline before you do it. Currently, there are a lot of software engineers who went through boot camps. Boot camps is just like an informal way, or you go to some training courses. These are not like accredited schools. I can come up with my own boot camp. I teach people how to code. Most of them they have a lot of practicals, and they span from 3 weeks to like a year. And I know a lot of people who have become successful software engineers who went just through boot camps. I work with so many people who went through boot camps who never did a computer-related courses, and they are very good software engineers. You can go through YouTube University. I'm just giving this as an example, as a representation of any, teaching yourself online. Do a course online, subscribe to some YouTube channel where someone is giving free tutorials. There are a lot of people who have become software engineers through this way. And honestly, I think like there are a lot of free courses on YouTube right now. You don't even have to pay a coin. If you really have the discipline, if you have the commitment, if you have the resilience and determination, all you need is internet. You can learn how to code online on YouTube. There are other courses, of course. There are other platforms which offer online tutorials. You can subscribe. I always say, you really have to have the discipline, the commitment to be able to learn from these platforms. Because if you're teaching yourself on YouTube, there is no exam, there is no deadlines. You have to set this yourself. So you really have to ask yourself, if you can be able to do that. There are people who are naturally good at, self-control. They have the discipline. If they set their mind to something, they're able to do it. So you can be you can be someone who is able to do that. So some people go through it through jobs, like you just get a job. If you may have someone who offers you a job and you learn from the job. I know people who have gone through that. Like most people who leave university and you find yourself in maybe at work, at where you work, there is a university, there is maybe an IT department. There are people writing code, and you learn from them. Yeah, people learn in that way. It's not easy to find those opportunities, but there are people who have gone through that path as well. What are the challenges? Challenges are it's competitive. Yeah, because there are a lot of smart people there. So you will be competing with the best of the best in this world. So just be ready for that, but that shouldn't stop you. It requires time. You need to invest in time. You should be someone who is able to sit on the computer and invest in time. If you are someone who doesn't want to sit down and concentrate on something, who is not able to sit down for like 5 hours without getting off your seat, who is not able to spend a whole day on the laptop, then don't try it. It's dynamic, it's always changing, so you need to always keep learning. It's wide. There are a lot of misconceptions. People will discourage you. They will tell you you have to be so smart to do it. That's not true. And it's challenging, of course. So all these are challenges that you face, but you should expect them, but none of that should be able to stop you. I don't know if we still have the time. I will just maybe spend maybe like 5 minutes to tell you about myself, like how I went through the process, and maybe the last 10 minutes we can leave them for the questions. How I got started, I was at high school. I was in Maryland, and I was studying to be a doctor. And then one day we were having dinner. I remember back then we didn't have a dining hall yet, so we used to eat from the forest. So I was having dinner, and I was next to some guys. They started talking about IT, how it is good, and I wasn't part of the conversation, but I was just listening to them. I just fell in love with it. So when I went back home, I made some inquiry about it. So they told me it was fine, and then that's where it all started. I lost interest in medicine, and I went for it, and the rest is history. Of course, in the process, they got discouraged, got disappointed, got demoralized, but I kept it going. And I knew I had made a very bold decision, because most of my friends were doing medicine, pharmacy. Most of the guys were within class at high school. So I knew that I had a very tough challenge. I knew if I don't work hard, I will never forgive myself. So I decided to commit to really doing my best, so that I never regret why I made that choice. So I from day one, I made some kind of like, so when I were in class, one of our lecturers kept on saying, programming is good, it is hard, it pays well. I was like, it pays well. So that motivated me, and I just I just decided that for all the programming courses, I will pass them. I really passed them. They are the most. They are the ones I passed more than anything. I said I can fail anything, but not programming. So another thing that really helped me was though it was one of the motivation, I got one advice from my uncle who told me, he gave me some advice and said, hey, Edwin, whatever you do in life, always do it well. Don't care about the money. It will always come back to you. So I applied that, and I still apply it today. I made sure that if I'm working with somebody, I don't care about the money. We will make negotiations. So as soon as we have finalized on the negotiations, how much you're going to pay me, it doesn't matter anymore. Whether I'm going to do it for you for free, I don't care. Once I've decided I'm going to do it, then the money, we talk about the money when we start, and we talk about it after we are done. When I'm doing it, I don't think about the money. I don't worry about the money. That really helped me in my journey, because I really had an opportunity to work for so many people, and most of them, it was always free, but always at the end, the opportunities would pay big. Most of the what I've seen is most people always put money first. If you don't give them the money, they will not do it. If they will do it as good as the money. So if the money is a lot, they will do it better. If it is little, they will not do it better. I think what has helped me in my journey is I don't always look at the money when I'm doing it. If I've decided to do it, I will do it. What has kept me going? I just loved it. I love doing it, and I am committed to doing it. How do I grow? I never stop to aspire. If I'm at one level, I always, as soon as I step at a level, I always ask myself, what is the next level, and how can I jump to the next level? Always reading, always following what is getting out, and always learning from other people. Yeah. How do I keep motivated? I set higher goals. So I always have a goal that I want to, to reach. If you don't have a goal, you will not be motivated. So I set a goal, and then that motivates me to keep running. It helps me to stay awake. It helps me to wake up. I identify things that make me happy, and then pursue those, put them in line with my career. Some people it's traveling, some people it's eating, some people it's living a good life. I have my own things that I love, and I always put them as part of my career journey. So we will go to finally questions. I see we have some minutes, so let me know if we have any questions. Are there some questions? I can't hear. If anyone is speaking, I can't hear you yet.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Edwin. Many people are appreciative of what you're doing. We would like to receive questions from the audience. Then you can be able to respond to them before you go.
Okay.
How many are happy to hear from Edwin? How many have questions? Because he's going to sleep, shall not have him. Okay, so there are people who have questions. Please raise the questions so that Brother Edwin can be able to respond to them. Yes?
We talked about the boot camp.
Like you talked about the boot camp.
I was inquiring if he has one campaign.
He's inquiring if you have a platform of a boot camp that he can join. I think we shall have all the questions at once, and then he can answer all of them at once.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's better.
Thank you, Brother Edwin. My question is, can you provide for us some platforms for YouTube University which we can go on and get some tutorials?
I can't really hear you well.
He's saying, can you provide some YouTube platform where they can learn, like you
Okay.
highlighted? Yeah.
Can you kindly tell us about project management and how we can jump into it?
He's asking about project management and how we can jump into it with software engineering.
Okay.
It's another one.
Yes, before it comes. Another question is, do you have some online platform where we can be practicing from, like from Google or other companies, or online courses which we can take on? And another question, there is software engineers, system designers, and programmers. Do they do all related stuff, or they're quite different? That's my question.
There's another brother behind.
Brother Edwin, thank you for the facilitation. My question is about your aspect of open source software.
Okay, I think you can respond to those, and then I will
Okay.
we'll be able to let you go.
All right.
Thank you.
So the first one was about a boot camp. I know that there are some places in Kampala where they are offering boot camps. There are other places online where they offer boot camps. If I am able to, I can share some links about like some which are available here. But I know they could be more expensive. But I know there are places in Kampala which actually offer some boot camps. They may not be very standard boot camps, but they are good to get you started. I know some people who have gone through them, and yeah, they help them get started. Even actually, they help you sometimes, connect to other software engineers, and they lead you to some jobs. For YouTube platform, yeah, there are a lot of, so there are a lot of resources on YouTube that I can share. The only thing that you need to decide which area you want to pursue, because like in software engineering there are so many areas. In programming there are so many languages. So I could like, let's say for example, I don't know how much knowledge you have in like about programming, but they're what we call languages. So like I can say I can get you like what I think are very good, you know, YouTube channels on a certain language. I can share some channels that I think are good, that can be helpful for someone. I can share with them with Johnson. So that should be fine, because there are really a lot of them. I personally, I rarely buy courses. If there's anything I want to learn, I just go on YouTube, and there are so many good guys there doing a lot of good work. So if anyone is interested, I can share a compilation of what I think are good for someone who wants to get started. I mean, this one doesn't stop you from, you know, even think of a boot camp or even going to school. I always say school should be first option. If you can't manage, that's when you go for this. But I always give school first priority, because there's more that you learn, a lot of commitment, because you pay money. So after you spend money, you want to really get something out of it. But I will compile some, and I will share them with Johnson, and he can share them with you. About project management. So project management, you know, it takes many forms. From the software engineering perspective, most of the project managers that I know, it doesn't mean that that's how it is. Most of them have done software engineering for some time, and then they decide to go into project management. Because most of the project management in software engineering, they are helping design, like they drive software engineering projects. They are the ones who we think of like, oh, this is how we should build this future. We shouldn't do this, we should do that. So you need to have that engineering thinking, or some good knowledge about applications development. So I think to be successful in software engineering, it may be, as a project manager, it may be nice to have some software engineering experience, a little bit, or at least be exposed to an environment where they develop applications. Otherwise, if you don't have that exposure, it's really so hard to just, you know, start working as a project manager, because you don't have a lot of experience. It doesn't mean that you can't start right away as a project manager. You really have to have a patient employer. And also, so there are very few project managers on projects. You may have like one project manager on a team like of 20 people or even 50 people. So they are not always many, because they don't do a lot of technical work. They always help, you know, think. They answer many questions they direct those projects. So if you don't really understand the software engineering process, it will really be a very big challenge. That's why most software project managers, either at least they went through school. Yeah, I do not know much about like a boot camps about project management. I do not know much about that. But I would recommend that you first go into it as a software engineer, then later on you can convert to a project manager, because even if you do it for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, you have really got knowledge of a software development process, and then you can manage a software project. About system design engineer, software, if they are really related, what I would say is sometimes they are related. Sometimes you may find yourself doing the same things, but there are always like clear lines. Like if you're a system designer, most system designers, for most IT companies, they help design. When they say you're a system designer, they are more on the front end for most system designer. If you're a system architect, you help design the system architectures, like high level, pieces of the application. Now, if you're a software engineer, or they call you a software engineer or application developer, for that, you may be put anywhere, depending on the need on the project. So if you're a system designer, they can't say you go and write code. But if you're a software engineer, they can say you go and design. Especially if like you're on teams there are teams which do not have designers. What I would say is, honestly, some of these other career paths in software engineering are limited. They are not so popular. On a team of 100 people, you may find like 3 designers or 3 project managers. So that's why I would recommend that go for something that employs more people, like software engineering, application development, just software engineering, actually. You are most likely to succeed there because you want to find something where you can easily find a job, right? Where you can, like right now, there have been a lot of people being laid off here. And most of the people they start with are like, program managers, system designers, whom they think they can run without. A project can run honestly without a project manager. It's a luxury sometimes on a project. If they have the funds, they can hire one. So you don't want to be like the only person who works on that project. And that means actually it's so competitive because most people, after they feel tired of writing code, they decide to go into project management. So it's hard for you to compete with, in a career where some people are more experienced than you are joining. But software engineering is more competitive because they employ a lot. There are a lot of software engineers needed. On a team of 100, maybe like 80, most companies 80 or 90 are software engineers. Maybe the 10% is just the others. That's designers, project managers, recruiters. So that is my opinion. It doesn't mean that that's the right thing, but that's my experience and my observation. About open source software. So open source softwares, so from a software engineering perspective, one of the things that you need to know is that their software, it varies. There are open source softwares which have licenses which are being maintained. There are then open source softwares which are being maintained by anybody, no responsibility, however, So I think it's okay, but you need to ask yourself who is behind it. If it is behind a strong company, then it is fine. But if it is just developed by someone, just think about it. If you build your product around that, or you build your business around an open source software that can die anytime, then I think that may not be good. So if it is being backed by a strong company, it's okay. That's what I can say about it. But they are okay, they are good, but you have to ask yourself that question. I think that's all.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Adrian, for responding to those queries. There's just one that you'll just respond before we go to our next speaker. It is from you. Edwin Zwambale is asking that with the birth of AI like ChatGPT, BARD, and Bing AI, do you think software engineering jobs will be many in the coming years?
Yeah, that's a question everyone is asking. This is my opinion. Honestly, as a matter of fact, we will see a reduction in some jobs due to AI. There's no question about that, because like there are some things that computer now can write code. I personally am using ChatGPT for some of the complicated scenarios. Like if I had a question that would take me a day, I can go to ChatGPT and I ask it, and it will take me like 5 minutes, and have solved it. Like this week I've used it twice to help me fix something that would take me like a day. Like one I had taken 2 days without solving it. I was like, why don't I try ChatGPT? And within 5 minutes, I had it solved. So that means a lot. It means that actually developing is becoming easier and easier. So when something becomes easier, the demand goes down. Yeah, so that is going to be there. So you just, I think what we just need to do is see how we align ourselves. So still there are people needed to keep on developing that AI, right? So we have to think of moving towards being AI engineers than just web developers, because most of the jobs that are going to be affected are things like web developers. Those are really going to be affected so much, because now that can be done by a computer. A computer can develop a website. So if you're a website developer, in just a few years you will not really be relevant. And I mean that happens in everything, and it's not only in software engineering, even for other jobs. So that's my opinion, and I think that's the common trend that that's what most people are expecting.
Okay, thank you so much, Edwin. I think we can give a round of applause to Brother Edwin for the good work he has done. Yes, and greetings to family.
Thank you.
We would like to say good night to you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Amen.
Bye.
The recording has stopped.
Kindly come and take over these seats. Yes. Our next presenter is going to be Brother Nathan. He's going to talk to us about the different platforms that we can use to kickstart our career in software engineering. I was with Nathan at Chambogo University. He was doing computer science. Me, I was into telecom. But before I knew it, he was very far into software engineering. So he's going to tell us exactly where he started from and what he did to make sure that he reaches where he is. And maybe try to encourage some of us who do not know even where to start from. Like our evangelist, Emmanuel. Thank you so much. So he's going to, Brian, he's going to share a PowerPoint. Kindly get a flash and put the presentation there. Let me give you my email.
Good morning, everyone. And how are you? Happy to see you here. And I'm glad I've also had the opportunity to be with you. Yeah, so my name is Nathan Rohanga. And just like he has introduced me, I've been with my brother Maserika for quite some time during my campus years. And that was way back in Maserika. 2015, all the way through 2015 through to around 18. Yes, so just like you said, my career was around, I would like to thank our previous presenter. He mentioned something that is real in life, and that is many of us end up doing what we don't expect to do. So my, if I would say, my original intention or my original career was to be a mechanical engineer. And here life throws me into the software area, into the software world. So yeah, and different people have different motivations for why they do certain things they do. And we end up by providence into such circumstances. And the truth is, what we ought to do is to maximize the opportunities we get. And I think a number of my friends here will witness or will confirm it that many of them have not done it as their original intention or their original career that they had in mind. So we have had a little background of what software engineering is. Maybe not simply software engineering, but the computer science, computer engineering in general. So I would like to start it here to present about the available study platforms and methods, and perhaps even schools we can attend to learn all these sophisticated, what people think are what? Sophisticated things to do. The truth is, there are few people who want to engage in what? Into activities or careers that require thinking. Am I right? That require reasoning, that require logic. Why? Because sometimes, okay, the truth is thinking is a hard thing. I don't know how many of us agree with me that thinking is really hard. Huh? It is as simple as it is in what, but it is it's a hard task. But all in all, the more we repeatedly go through the process of thinking, the more it becomes easier for us. So, what are the available study platforms and methods and schools that we can attend? I'll start maybe with the schools. And most of us are aware of maybe the methods, sorry. Let me start with the methods. There are a number of methods that we can use to learn, yeah? One of them is what we may be acquainted with. Maybe before I can continue, I've not really introduced myself as I ought to. So I went through Chambogo University, yeah? Chambogo University, and I did, well, he said computer science, but it was IT. One of those least courses that people want to do in software engineering. IT, general information. It's information technology, yeah? And it's quite general and almost has no real world software development courses, I may say. Yeah, it's so general. It's just like you come here and we talk and we talk and we talk and you leave, yeah, without any practical or serious applications for what we have discussed. So that's generally IT. Nowadays, I think they're improving and adding in some courses that require you to come up with real-world applications and problem-solving ones. Not simply application, but problem-solving applications. So what are those methods that we go through? While at Chambogo University, I went through the last method, the lecture-style learning, where you will have a lecturer, literally come and stand before you and tell you A plus B is equals to C. A plus B is equals to C. And there they will illustrate to you whatever they can while they are in front of you. Then we have, the problem solving kind of learning, where you learn by practically resolving a problem. And to some of my friends that I think I've studied with, I recall when it came to the end of the course, during the course they would go through a series of self-teaching, and self-teaching in a way that they had an idea in mind and they wanted to have a solution they can implement to bring that idea to life. And they would end up learn in the process as they are thinking. Remember, we talked about thinking as one of the things that is the hardest task. So they were tasked to think so that they can resolve or they can come up with a solution to a problem. And then the other one is, this kind of inquiry-based learning. Like we can come here and, some of us may not be interested in software engineering, but you've just come to have a look, to take a look, to simply be aware of what's happening in the software world, in the computer science, in the computer engineering world. And this is how you end up learning, right? You end up learning. And this, of course, is an active learning that, starts by, asking yourself questions. Now, to some of you it may be the first time they're being exposed to software engineering, we will ask, what is it about? Some of us have asked, what can I do with it? And from there, either you earn the motivation to pursue it, or you leave it at that because it's not of your interest. And then there's distant learning, where of course you're not lively before a presenter or a lecturer or a teacher. Yeah. So all these are possible ways that we can learn the career: software engineering, software development. I'll go to you can take us to the next slide, Brother Johnson. And those are the schools. Where do we get all these facilities or education centers that can teach us software development? Brother has showed us really that there are a number of universities and schools that we are aware of, and these provide courses that we can venture into. And I'll maybe want us to task us to always watch. Our brother mentioned earlier that in our pursuits, in whichever pursuit we will get involved in, let's remember God, right? We are to remember God. And in the process, we are to watch for his providential circumstances. Those, in the end, will lead you to what you ought to do in life. For example, he has put it in his providence that you can be here today. When you watch all your past life, because the truth is, we know life can only be lived forward, but it can also be studied backward. It can be studied backward, but it is only lived forward. When you go through your history, what are those ways or providential circumstances that God has put in your line of sight, so that you can begin pursuing software, if indeed God means that you pursue it? So I'll mix this with my own experience. Yeah. So while at high school, I think I did my high school, my O-levels, Ogema, in secondary school. Went to Maryland. I should have seen that brother, but I haven't seen him. This is my first time seeing him, Brother Bwambale. Yes. Went to Maryland, did a course in physics, maths, and physics, PCM, and chemistry, with an intention of being a mechanical engineer. And here we did the college A-level, did it, and then applied. My first choice was, Pujabs, you know them? These national things that you apply for. And then what happened was my first choice was mechanical engineering, followed by automotive engineering, different universities. Those were my choices. And my third and last out of the 6 was IT. You see, that was my last and least, so that just in case I lose on the first 2, for the sake of not paying tuition, let me get there. Any course I can do, and that was IT, the least. And unfortunately, it became the one I had to do. Oh my! So that's how I think I can count providence on my side. The thing I least expected to do is what God gives me. So I'll also urge us to really watch upon God's providential circumstances as we pursue IT programming and how, things unfold in our ways, in our paths. So from there, I did it, but because I had no passion for it, he said something very important, that we should have that passion, the motivation to pursue the career, right? And not look at it as an option. Many of us want to do these things as what? Options. Can I try it? Huh? And you end up trying. Huh? Truth is, try and fail, but don't fail to try. But in your trying, be definitive, be intentional, and ensure that you what? You achieve. Huh? Don't just try, but look forward to achieving, to becoming successful in what you have taken up. Huh? Yeah, so that's how I got through campus, finished campus. But even in the process of being campus, that wasn't my my ambition to pursue the course. I was simply doing it because I had to. It was a merit given that I can't just waste. So I go through the course, and out of campus, truth be told, is I left campus with nothing. Can you imagine? I left campus with nothing. I have had this IT world. I had a friend whom I can let you know that he was successful. As soon as he entered the course, used his time at campus to develop more skills. Many of us may be out of campus and are out of campus, but how do you utilize the time remaining that you have? Because life is not lived backwards, it's lived forward. Yeah. So he became successful. I looked at him and, admired him. Yeah. And some of us will also, agree with me that they've had ambition to pursue the IT career because they've admired someone whom they have seen being successful. Yeah. And that's good to be motivated in that line, but only if you can pursue it with determination, knowing that you will in the end achieve it. Because truth is, if you can dream about it, then you can what? You can achieve it. You can achieve it. So these are the schools. I was talking about my experience while we are at the schools that we can learn. And some of the courses that can be offered are, there is software engineering. Our brother talked about it. It's a huge term, software engineering. In our world today, almost everything is engineering. Psychological engineering, everything engineering. So there is software engineering, and this is, what is the science behind creating these softwares? Things you can't touch, but you see them do work. They do some work that, for example, what you can see there is because there is software running it, and that's work. That's work. Software engineering. So there is also information technology. I've abbreviated them. You can see that. Software engineering, information technology, and computing. That's the course I was doing. Information systems, for the sake of time and, space, I abbreviated them, information systems. Then there is data science, data science and artificial intelligence, that's DS. Then computer science, CS, and then computer engineering. Now this one will deal with, if you can look at all these hardware materials that people are holding and using, the hardware part of the software development, that's computer engineering. Computer science goes into the mathematics, the detailed binary, the way they work. And literally, if you can look at it, computer science, software engineering, all these are mathematical in nature. So the backbone or the blood of computer engineering, software development is mathematics. But this has been simplified into our human language so that we can use it. That's why we see programming languages. These things that we use to create the software, these tools that we use to create the software. So there are a number of schools, Makerere University, Chambogo University, Bugema University, they offer software engineering. The years, of course, differ depending on the course you're taking, either a lapse of 3 or 4 years. We have one of the interesting academies that we may be knowing of. I think you know it, Brother Mase. It's Greenbridge Academy, an institution owned by one of our own. He's an Indian Adventist, and you can pursue something about software development. If you want to be this person who wants to be in front, behind a teacher, who wants to see a teacher in front of you. So there are such schools. There are a number of schools in the link that I have shown in the presentation, and that's okay. So that's tertiaryinstitutions.com, and we can get related courses about software development there. Yep. So that will be a little bit of your homework for you to go and find out, just in case you are interested in pursuing a course, a degree, even a master's, perhaps a PhD. You can find all that there. And so while I'm still at that, I go through campus with nothing, but only to be hit by the reality of life that I need to start working. Campus was seamlessly easy. Yeah. Tuition is paid for, provision for everything is done. But I wasted my time at campus. I didn't study for myself. I only went with what the teacher spoke of on the blackboard, just like I can be speaking here of something and then you just go with that. You would never know the detail of what it, of what it is until you try it out yourself. Yes, so those are the schools, and there are more. I've just listed a few. And I'll ask my brother to move to the next slide. And then there are platforms. Yeah. So literally anything that will elevate you and enhance your level of understanding, of any technology in the computer world is a platform that will help you. Now, truth be told is that myself, after campus, I use one of these platforms. Okay. Thank you very much. So these are the platforms. Now, I'm just going to briefly talk about them. Now, Udemy, someone asked about what are those platforms. Udemy is one of the best universities, I can say, in the whole world, because it has all courses. And the disadvantage with it is that the courses are quite virtual, and you don't have a live interaction with anyone, with a teacher. No, you simply watch. It's a video. So Udemy is one of those good platforms. I've put the links there, www.udemy.com. You'll find those learning courses. Some of you have heard about Java. They've heard about Python. They've heard about C++. You've heard about a number of programming languages. There is MySQL. There is databases. Sorry, I don't know what just happened. Sorry about that. So there are a number of programming languages that we can learn. Not only programming languages, softwares that we can use to develop applications. So myself, I think I have taken a few courses from them and done them even while I can still work. Because the truth is, what I know is simply a drop. And what I don't know is an ocean. There is an ocean of things that we all don't know. And what we simply know is a what? Is a drop. So Udemy is one of these places that Udemy is one of these places that we can have all these courses that we've ever thought of, especially if it is to do with software development. So there's all sorts of courses there. And the beauty with it is they are so cheap, very cheap. If I were to learn all those courses and come and make money in Uganda, I would, because here education is quite expensive. Imagine I can learn a course that is from one of the best teachers in the world at only 30,000 Uganda shillings. Huh? If I can pay for a course at 90,000 Uganda shillings, is it equivalent to 600,000 Uganda shillings here? No. And an added advantage is that I will get quality, or I will get all these that help me meet the demands of software development. So Udemy, try it out. You'll find a number of courses that you will learn. Now, Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is something similar to what people have suggested or talked about, ChatGPT. So this is one of the areas we learn by asking questions. And the truth is, this is open. Anyone can access it. Yeah, so Udemy, Stack Overflow, and then one other beautiful place we can learn from as a platform are these volunteering platforms. One of them, I think my friends will concur with me, have gone through is the OpenMRS. I've not put it there for the lack of space. OpenMRS is an open, okay, there's what people have, you've heard about it, someone has mentioned it, open source software, right? This is software that is developed freely for anyone to consume freely. And how can software be developed for anyone to consume freely? It's because there are people out there who are volunteering to develop such softwares. Can you imagine? How does the person creating the WhatsApp benefit from it? And yet everyone is using it free of charge. Why? One of them is it is used, fine, for advertisements and so on. But the truth with it is, in the process of, there are ways in which those open source softwares benefit those who are creating them. But it's also a good way or a platform where anyone willing to learn or wanting to learn something can learn from people who are experienced and coming up with free software. You can access the code, you can try to understand, you can ask questions and understand. It helps you learn faster. So I've not mentioned them, but volunteering platforms include OpenMRS. OpenMRS is a medical system, open source software, where people around the world come together and come up with solutions that can help the medical industry. And all this is done with free initiative. And if I can hook myself into such a community, I will be able to learn from them. And trust me, one of the most stable applications you can use are applications that are from an open system, ecosystem, right? The open source ecosystem. One of them is OpenMRS. And the other one is those who have used computers are aware of, have heard of Ubuntu. There are communities around Ubuntu that come up with this application, and all these are open source systems. An open source community is a place where people, a virtual meeting place or community where people come together and share ideas and come up with software that is freely distributed for people to consume. You can learn from them. Then I talked about Providence. I said one of the ways that can enhance your learning is Providence. See what God has put in your path and pursue it. So my calling, I think, in life had been to do with computer science and maybe software engineering, if I can recall, but I didn't listen to that calling all my way through campus. Fine, I did computer, what's this? What do you call it? Computer? No. In high school, there is computer, what's this? Computer. I think it's computer, yeah? It's computer, it's called computer. So computer studies, O-level. I also did it at A-level, not knowing that's something I'm going to venture in more deeply. Yeah? Okay, so so then there is ChatGPT that we have discussed earlier. This is an AI system. end itself is a software. It's a form of software. And it is developed by software developers. The truth is, it's also open source. People come together and share their ideas and come up with things like ChatGPT. If I can hook up in such a community of ChatGPT software, then I can learn more about AI. I can learn more about artificial intelligence and and data science. Yeah. So now coming to my last slide. How much, there is a typo there. How much do you need to know? Yeah, how much do you need to know? How much do you need to know about software development? Oh, so for example, if you're backend, someone talked about backend, how much do you need to know? The truth is your attempts to know determine the limit. The least you try, the limited you are. If you can't try, then you can't achieve. You can't become successful. Yeah. So one tip that we will want to know is that the roots of any learning process are always bitter, but the fruits are sweet. The learning process can take time and can be a bitter one, but the fruits are sweet. And then lastly, your ambitions are handicapped by your laziness. If you're ambitious and you just don't care, you think, I'll try tomorrow. You try, tomorrow reaches, you try the other time, you become handicapped and you never achieve anything. So the truth is, let us not procrastinate, because procrastination is the thief of what? Of time. Procrastination is the thief of time. So I beg to stop here for the sake of time, so that we can have many of us enriched or edified by our fellow presenters. Thank you very much. Questions, I think, will come.
That is Brother Nathan Ruhanga. Thank you so much, brother. He has been trying to show us where we can start from, where we can go. And I'm sure we have gained something. Now, right about now, we are just going to have a water break. We're going to take some water as we also stretch around. Some people came a little earlier. They have been here. So for the mind to be able to absorb what Engineer Moses and Regan are going to tell us, we may need to have a break. For our online viewers, please stay on. Yes, the live feed is going to stay on for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will be back. Brother Suna is going to give water to the ones who are present. The ones online, please find some water to also take. Yes, God bless you.
Even studied one marketing paper. I did the Python, I did JavaScript, I did HTML, I did I did a couple of programs. I got a simani, and you not put the auto. Well, I be back home.
Hello, everyone. Oh, it's too loud. Good afternoon to everyone. Nice to meet you all. Um, I'm Moses Mutesasira. I'm a senior software engineer. Maybe before I can start, um, just interact with you. So, what did you expect to know from here? To get a job? To become a senior software engineer? No, just a few hands. Just to see your expectations. Yes. More resources? Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Okay. Get more resources? Yes, my brother. Oh, motivation. Oh, so you're the kind who needs to first be told how I started my big hotel with a single seed of rice and okay, yeah, but it's a good thing. Yeah, motivation. Okay. Yes, my brother.
Uh, well, it was something that I've been wanting to pursue, and I really needed a gist, like you said, the motivation. Not that I'm going to get the seed, but an insight about what I'm going to partake, and get the drive for it, something to take me on.
Yeah, sure. That's a very good point. Oh, yes, Pastor. Elder Pastor. Yes.
Yes, I was very interested in that. At a point, I'd wanted someone to develop for me an app, and I paid a lot of money, and the guy didn't do anything. So after that, I felt like, why can't I just learn this and do it myself?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, that's a good thing. Oh, yes, last person. Yep.
I came with expectations of knowing the reality of what it takes to be a software engineer and what is needed.
Okay.
Yes, the bigger picture.
Okay, sure. That's a good point too. Okay, I think they're all good points. Yeah, motivation. Getting to know the reality. Coming to learn to code to make his app. Just kidding. Okay. Maybe the other question. So most probably, most of you who came here probably you have an interest in software engineering. Why would you be interested in being a software engineer? Why not an architect? Why not a medical doctor? Why not a civil engineer? Just a few people to tell us why they think they would want to be software engineers. Yes?
I think it can help very many people.
Yep.
In a very short time.
Okay.
One package of item you have. Yeah.
I didn't get that point. So why would you want to be a software engineer?
Because I see that through these software applications, I can help very many people at a shorter span of time.
Okay.
And it's readily available to everyone, everywhere.
Okay, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, sorry. Yes.
Thank you so much. There are two things that so much attracted me to get into software development. One, I would love to spend more time at home.
Yep.
With family.
Yep.
The second one, I would love, there are certain things I wanted to do. I had ideas in my head, I want to do this, but it needed me to have a background in software engineering.
Yep.
And the people I tried to talk to help me, I was pulling ropes with them. So I was like, I'm going to get into this industry and I develop these things by myself.
Okay. Thank you. Last person, Brother Emma, why would you leave whatever business and stuff and then join software engineering?
Well, IT is the trend now.
Okay, I like the
And
point.
because it is almost in every sector of any business, entrepreneurship, whatever, you need IT. So it's the backbone in our current time to
Yep,
almost
true,
everything.
true.
So it's important to learn it.
True. Okay, thank you. So maybe let me just talk slightly about my background. I mean, the previous facilitators have talked about much of the stuff, the job market, the opportunities, the platforms. I mean, so they have said a lot, right? I mean, my background, I actually studied with Brother Masereka. I was in year 4. I think he was in year 2. And Nathan was in year 2 when I was in year 4. Okay, at that time, okay, maybe I'll go to that. But basically, my background is I'm an engineer. I did industrial engineering at Chambogo University. Industrial engineering is just a general course. I mean, you learn a lot of things: computer something, some building, some architecture. I mean, some computer designing. So when I left campus, I did quite a lot of things. One, I was an architect. Actually, I used to interact with Simon. I think he just finished his architecture course at Mackay, right? So I did house plans. I did mechanical designs. I did land broking. It's called land broking. Broker in English. So I was once a broker. I mean, I used to sell land. Well, I did quite a number of things. Question, how did I get to software engineering? It was one time, I mean, in summary, right? What inspired me? Well, I'm being honest, what inspired me? So it was at church. At that time, I had just left campus, so I was trying to add up things to make ends meet. Then I saw this very young guy. At that time, he was younger than me, but he was driving a big car. Okay, at that time. I mean, well, it inspired me to join software engineering. As simple as that. Well, of course, right now I'm not really interested in buying big cars and what, but I mean, then, well, that inspired me. Maybe today I may not be, but then, that's what. So I didn't do software engineering at campus. Well, of course, at campus you get some little basics of computing, Microsoft Word, and these others. But then finally, I mean, as Edwin also mentioned it, and Nathan mentioned it, so I majorly use online platforms, YouTube, open source softwares to learn programming. So I'm a senior software engineer with the University of Washington. Now, one beauty I saw in software engineering, Edwin mentioned about it. I think it's one field which equally provides opportunities to everyone regardless of their local boundaries, I mean origin or country, or regardless of where they live. I think I work 80% remotely and 20% physical. I've met Brother Edwin in some church in Kirkland, Washington, somewhere there. That was my first time to meet him. So I was surprised that he was going to facilitate here. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is that in my architecture that I was doing, well, it would be close to impossible for me to do a house plan in London or in New York. I mean, how possible is it for an architect in Uganda to design a house plan, a structure in New York? I mean, so you see, most of these other fields, engineering fields, may not provide you with equal opportunities, right? I mean, with software, Java is Java. System.out.print is the same in China and in Uganda and in Rwanda and in Burundi and in New York, right? So if I can write system.out.print, regardless of where I am, I mean, I can, right? So I think that's one thing I saw with, that's one beauty or power with software engineering. I was meant to take you through opportunities and you call them payments? Okay. But maybe we can just go through something small. So, the humankind, man has gone through a lot of technological progress, right? I would define technology as something you use to, something you use to make work simpler, right? Well, I would simply define tech as that. We've gone through what we call the Stone Age, where majority of the work is being aided by stone tools or tools made out of stones. From the Stone Age, we've gone through, from there humankind shifted to, to the Iron Age, where they progressed from stone-based tools to simple iron tools and weapons. Agriculture improved and a lot of things improved, right? So from the Iron Age, there came the Industrial Revolution, where now humankind was kind of like building a lot of bigger mechanized systems, industries. So, so some of the key people during that age, people who did a very great impact during that age. Some of you have heard about maybe people like John D. Rockefeller, guys in oil, Andrew Carnegie, guy of steel, Henry Ford, production of cars. There is Cornelius Vanderbilt, guys in rail lines. That was their age, right? So that's just around a few centuries ago, 18th century. Now, as a matter of fact, we are in the digital revolution. Where, okay, let me just read this. This refers to a period starting in the mid-20th century with the advent of digital electronic computing. Now, every progress comes with pros and cons, right? Now, for example, if Rockefeller in his industry, oil company, used to employ 1,000 people, now with the coming of the digital generation or the digital age, I guess if he used to employ 1,000 people, today he could only employ like 50 with 10 machines that can do 100 times more work than the rest of the people, and more accurately, well, with less costs. What I'm saying, we are in a digital age, right? So it's a fact, actually, Brother Emmanuel mentioned it. So it's a fact, we are in a digital age. Well, that's why we are talking about software engineering, right? Some of the key people during our age, you can mention things like people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Larry Page, Google, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook. Now, you're going to note that during the Industrial Revolution, well, that's a more documented revolution, at least as far as our history is concerned. If you could reach out the world's biggest companies, okay, let me talk about the world's billionaires. So these are people in real estate, people with production companies. Well, in their 80s, right? Someone in their 80s can become a billionaire out of making a huge real estate empire, oil empire. Now today, we have billionaires in their 30s, right? Someone just makes an application, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and he's making billions of money that the other guy in real estate used to make over 50 years, right? So we are in a digital, revolution. We are in a digital age, so we just have to embrace that. Now, I'm just going to talk about something small. When Pastor presented in the morning, he talked about science and the Bible. Brother Maserika, what time am I remaining with? More 20 minutes? Oh, okay. So the pastor talked about the Bible and tech, or the Bible and science. Well, he mentioned something like, it's actually not science that proves the Bible. Well, it's the Bible that, it's the other way around. It's the Bible that proves science, right? So any science that is in contrary to the Bible is actually false science. Well, we have two types of science, in general. you can talk of experimental science and theoretical science. So experimental science or observation science is science based on facts, what we see. I mean, experiments, right? An example, a fact is that we exist. Well, that's a fact. So that's experimental science. We exist, right? The question is, how do we came to exist? Now that is theoretical science. Well, you cannot prove Big Bang and how we evolved. I mean, so that's theoretical science. So most of the times, theoretical science tends to go off the Bible. Well, it's not science. So technically, it ends up not being right science. Now, let me talk about our age, something small about our age. Currently now, we are in a digital generation. And I would say most of the machines we use today operate at a classical level or operate with classical physics principles, right? I mean, the machines you see today. Now, we are moving into a generation of quantum computing. Now, I'm just going to mention something small about quantum computing. I don't want to go into deep physics, but in simple terms, quantum physics is the physics that studies the behavior of matter at an atomic level. Now, things operate differently from a classical things operate differently at a classical level. I mean, at a big level. Well, when you're talking about matter, right? Now, there is a popular experiment called the double slit experiment. Well, I'm just talking about, basically, I'm just simply trying to relate tech with the Bible, right? That's why I brought in this experiment, right? So this is called the double slit experiment. So what happens is that they focus a beam of light at a slit, or okay, you may call it a wall, but then the wall has two holes, right? So what happens? The beam of light goes through the two holes and forms a wave on the screen. Well, it is because somehow, somewhere, because of interference, light ends up forming a wave on the wall, right? Because it's a beam of light. Now, what they do, they still focus two particles of light, and they project them through that slit with holes. But then somehow, somewhere, you would expect the two particles to simply form two dots on the end screen, right? I mean, the beam of light, it's many protons, no, not really protons, but what's the smallest particle of light? Photons, sorry, many photons, right? But then, when you only project two photons through the holes, you would expect to have only two photons on the screen. Now, what is funny enough, the two photons still form a wave function. Okay, they still form a wave. The two photons also form a wave on the back end screen. Now, so the scientists, it puzzles. When you focus a beam of light, it's logical. Because of interference, because there are many photons, they form a wave on the wall. Now, when you focus two particles of light, you would still expect to get only two dots, but then you end up with still the same wave as the beam of light. Now, that's a little bit puzzling. So what the scientists decide to do, they try to put, it's called an observer, or a device that is going to observe this electron. How does this single photon, or this single element becomes a wave, forms a wave on the wall, right? Now, this is what is funny. Whenever the scientists try to put something that observes, the behavior of the photons draws back to how it should be. I don't know whether you're trying to get what I'm saying. Now, whenever there is nothing that observes the photons, they form a wave function. Whenever you try to observe, it falls back to its state how it should be. It only displays 2 photons on the glass, on the screen. Now, I'm just trying to draw a difference between, now that is quantum physics, actually, quantum computing. Actually, if you have been getting along with the current trend, we are going into quantum computing, right? From the ordinary classical computers. Now, that is physics, so that is what is observed. Now, these are some of the assumptions that are drawn. Now, I'm trying to give a difference between observation science, to theoretical science. Now, these are some of the assumptions that are drawn. One assumption the scientists try to make is that the photons are conscious. They know that someone is watching us. They behave how they're supposed to behave. Actually, let me make it more complicated. Now, in quantum physics, there is what they call quantum entanglement. What happens that you get 2 photons, right? Okay, two photons, not necessarily photons, but maybe electrons or neutrons, and you entangle them, whatever they do to entangle them. What happens that a change in one state, when one element changes a state, it directly affects the state of the other. Actually, no matter the distance. Technically, the communication between them is faster than light. Well, in classical physics, we know that we cannot run faster than light. But at a quantum level, actually, communication can happen faster than light. Now, this is what the scientists do. So what they do, they create 2 experiments, one experiment here and one experiment here. They still do quantum entanglement between these 2 electrons. So they say, okay, let's project the other electron here, and we study the behavior of the electron here, right? So that way, you can know what happens, why this element behaves this way. Now, what happens, even when you do quantum entanglement, this electron here actually knows that you're going to watch the other electron there, and it behaves normally. Now, let me make it even more complicated. Now, what they do, in one experiment, they put the screen nearer. Well, what they want is they want to see why, when we watch this thing, it behaves normally. When we do not watch it, it behaves abnormally, right? So what they do, in one experiment, they put the screen nearer. In the other experiment, they put the screen far, so that they watch this electron when this one has already reached. Are you trying to get what I'm saying? Now, what is shocking, it is as though this electron knows that in the future, they are going to watch the other one. Okay, what I'm trying to bring is that now, that brings a lot of theories. Now, one theory is the universe is conscious. It actually knows that it is conscious, right? That's one assumption. Assumption 2 is the universe does not exist. It is an illusion. It is your conscience that forms whatever you see. Now all that is theoretical physics. Well, what is observed is that when you watch this thing, it behaves normally. When you do not watch it, so now, I was just trying to draw a difference between observation science or experimental science to theoretical science, right? So the concept is, when you go deep into tech, it can become, actually today there are theories like, we actually do not exist, it's just an illusion. There are theories like the earth is conscious. The theories like time does not exist. I mean, the past, the future, and the present exist at the same time. Well, now actually those are technological, I mean, facts, right? I mean, theories, right? Right? You get what I'm saying? So we should always, when we are diving deep into tech, we should know how far to go, right? As long as something becomes theoretical, you can only prove it based on the Bible. You know the Bible does not teach much of that, right? Okay. How many minutes am I remaining, sir? Or 5? Oh, I'm done. Okay, in summary, it's okay. It's okay. You can go to the last slide. So, maybe I'll just talk about payments and opportunities. I mean, people have already talked about opportunities in software engineering. I mean, you can work anywhere. I work from home 80% of the time, and the other time, supposed to move to somewhere. Okay, you can do AI, cloud computing, DevOps, cybersecurity, mobile app development. All that is software engineering. I mean, Edwin already talked about that. Let me talk about something to do with payments. Okay, it is true software engineers are paid well. Well, maybe not necessarily the best paid profession, because when you, for example, when you see at the record in US, well, at least, which guys are these? Surgeons, well, are somehow paid better than software engineers in US, right? But this is what makes software engineering powerful, right? I work remotely. I live in Uganda. Also, someone in USA lives in USA but work for the same organization, right? So, well, of course, we are paid the same money. Well, it's because we work for the same organization. Someone in USA needs 3,000 US dollars to rent an average house. An average house. Well, starting house. How much is that here? 9 millions, right? 3,000 US dollars. Maybe 9, 10 millions, right? Well, but there's someone in, Rwanda who only needs $100 to rent a big house, but they are paid literally the same payment, right? Are you seeing the power I'm talking about? So, well, that's why the young, he's late now, unfortunately, but that's why he could manage to drive big cars and this. Well, because he was working across, yeah, my motivation. Well, because he was working somewhere in USA, he does not need to rent a house of 4,000 US dollars. In Uganda, a good house is maybe 1,600,000, like $100, something, right? Someone in USA that you work with, Edwin rents a house of 3,000 US dollars. Well, in Uganda, if you work for Google and you stay in Uganda and you're paid like Edwin, in Uganda you're paying $100. Rent, $100 just mtwalo ngasa tumwetana. Okay, maybe $200, 600. Edwin pays 3,000 US dollars. But you get the same. That's where the power in software engineering comes. You can work across economies. You stay in economies where standards of living are lower, right? But then you're almost getting almost close to the same payment, right? So that makes it more powerful. You can decide to live anywhere. For example, people live so much staying in Kampala, where a plot of land is, an average plot of land here is around maybe 150, maybe an average plot of land. Well, as a developer, I don't need to stay here. I will go in somewhere else and I buy a full acre, right? But then, I work from home. You're getting the beauty of software engineering. So I don't need to physically live in some areas. I can choose areas of low standards of living, and so I think that's one of the power of software engineering and opportunities out there. 2, of course, you can work with any company anywhere. You're not close to your physical boundaries. I don't know, unless someone has a question. Does anyone have a question? I think my time is up. Okay. All right. Thank you. So, okay.
Yes, thank you, Mose. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. We need another break? Or we can continue? Okay. So my name is Regan Patrick Makova, and it was supposed to be Mr. Dan Kaiwa to take us through this session, as I might have seen the flyers, but unfortunately he was not able to, so I stepped in, I hope as a dangerous substitute. So my background, because of time, I understand we're finishing at 1. My background, I'm a medical doctor, but I'm now working with Tessus Ramoses at the University of Washington. We work together at ITech. So my path is also a bit unorthodox, just like he described his. And maybe I'll hint on some of the things as we go to save time. My topic for discussion is going to be what are some of the challenges that you might face if you're starting the journey to becoming a good software engineer. Could even start with becoming a software developer. And then what are some of the things that you could think about, or what are some of the approaches to overcome some of those challenges? Chances are high that most of the things I'll mention, a number of us might resonate with. And so I'm going to go through some that I feel personally affected me and share perhaps some of the tips that I use to be able to overcome them. Now, part of my background, as I said, was inspired by the late Joseph Kawesi. Now, this is also the founder of 3ABN Uganda. If you've seen that on your TVs, he's the mastermind behind connecting 3ABN International and the Ugandan version. He was a very intelligent young man. So he's also part of the people, or one of the